Hi everyone, hope you're well today. Leanne just told me I was a little bit late in getting on, so I apologize for that. I told her to dock me 10 or 20% of zero. Okay, so I'm getting charged 20% of zero for being late today. So I hope you didn't have to wait around too long. In fact, was it about 3 minutes? So I was a little bit late. Okay, so let's do the chanting, and then after that, obviously the meditations, and then we will continue addressing the many questions that I got over the last year, approximately, and utilizing my book to answer these questions. Okay. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. So now get yourself in a comfortable position, and as per usual, we will release the tension in the body first. So closing our eyes gently, mouth, lips touching gently, tongue resting on the upper palate in the mouth. And bring your focus to your body. And from the tips of the toes all the way up to your shoulders, then down to the tips of your fingers, and then back up to the top of your head, you will gradually release the tension. As you focus on a particular part of the body, release the tension from that part as you pass it. Okay? So let's practice like this for a brief period. Now scan your body again to see if there's any more tension that you can release. And when you've done this, bring your focus initially to the tip of your nose. And as per usual, the object of the meditation is the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose all the way into your lungs and then back out your nose again. So as you breathe in, the air is quite cool as it passes your throat, past the bronchial area, all the way into the lungs. And as you breathe out, the air is quite warm as it passes your throat, as it exits your nose, or before it exits your nose. Breathing in and breathing out. Just naturally breathing. Don't try to have long breaths or short breaths. Just breathe naturally, relaxing. If thoughts arise or any mental activity arises, don't cling to it or grasp it or try to forcefully push it away or deny it, but simply go back to your breath. Replace your mind onto your breath and let the mental activity go naturally, just easily. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by replacing your mind onto your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. So now we can feel pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness. Utilizing the visualizing, I should say, the white light, your whole being filling with the white light, or white nectar if you prefer. Or if you find it difficult to visualize, just go with the feeling. Visualize your whole being with this universal loving kindness. Once again, utilizing the visualizing of the white light. This universal loving kindness includes friendliness. We are our best friend. And if we're not careful, our worst enemy too. Best to be the friend, I think. Harmlessness, good benefit, forgiveness and acceptance. This metta, this maha metta, the great loving kindness. Not separate from maha karuna, the great compassion, based on upekkha, or equanimity. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to your loved ones, your family, your friends. Filling them with the universal loving kindness. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be peaceful. Now extend further and further. Now also include those you may regard as strangers, that you're indifferent towards, whether you know them at all, maybe know them just a little. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful, filling them with this universal loving kindness in the form of the white light or nectar. And now also include those you may regard as enemies, filling them too with this universal loving kindness. May all of these people be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now we can extend further and further distance-wise, starting around your immediate area, to all living beings now, not just people. All the living beings that live on the land, even under the land, fly through the air, live in the waters, salt water, fresh water. From everything to do actually with the ocean, the great oceans, to the tiniest little puddle, there are living beings. Extend this loving kindness to all of these living beings, whether you know about them or not, whether you have an affinity towards them, are indifferent towards them, or even fear them. Extend a loving kindness to them. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Now let's gradually increase the distance that we are radiating this universal loving kindness to now radiate it throughout your whole state or county to all of the living beings that live here. Your radiation of this universal loving kindness is now gathering so much momentum that it's covering vast distances. Now throughout other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world. Initially those that you're familiar with and that are close by you, those you're indifferent towards, and those that are far away, and also those that you may have some negative feelings towards for whatever reason. Until your loving kindness pervades throughout all of the countries in this world and throughout all of the oceans and waterways, to all of the living beings now. Have your loving kindness pervade down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. And also throughout the whole solar system, to all of the living beings. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Throughout the whole galaxy and the whole universe, until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space, generated in your own mind. Now this loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space, no beginning, no end, no measure, unlimited, infinite. And rejoice in your practice and the practice of others, and dedicate it to the great enlightenment of all living beings. So let's do the dedication prayer now. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. So we get straight into the book. Maintain an inner smile, okay? I think if we're maintaining the inner smile, actually, and relaxing, everything becomes easier. It becomes easier to listen to the Dharma. You'll be less distracted. So try to maintain this calm inner smile, okay? This rejoicing, over and over rejoicing. Not consciously, but just try to have it in your vibe, you know? And then, like I said, listening to the Dharma, practicing the Dharma, absorbing our mind with the Dharma becomes easy rather than it being a burden, because sometimes we have to work harder, of course. But right now, just be happy within yourself, okay? And then listen to these teachings. But be kind to yourself. Calm your mind. That's the reason why I just said that. I knew which one was coming first. We almost got this one last week, actually. So the explanation is when our mind is calm and clear, we will be less confused, worried, and anxious, and therefore able to perceive things more clearly and able to make better choices on what to do and what not to do in our lives. We will be able to deal much more clearly and efficiently with life's changes and difficulties. To calm our mind, first we must think, act, and speak morally, and therefore be free of regret and guilt. A mind free of regret and guilt is more conducive to and ripe for the practice of meditation, which enables us to develop genuine insight into the nature of our mind and the nature of reality. So let's calm our mind and be kind to ourselves. So yes, we are being kind to ourselves when we calm our mind. Obviously, I think that doesn't need any more explanation than that. And as we calm our mind and we are kind to ourselves, it's vice versa. By being kind to ourselves in other ways as well, we are calming our mind. So they work well together, isn't it? Maybe sometimes you're a bit confused, you have too many thoughts, too many plans, and then by calming the mind, we are kind to ourselves. Other times, maybe we're a bit down on ourselves and we think, this isn't working. This is harmful and at very least not helpful. So I need to be kind to myself. I need to benefit myself. And as you do this, then your mind starts to calm down naturally. It's like almost like a cause and effect of each other. Calm and clear, we will be less confused, worried, and anxious. That's pretty obvious. So when the mind is calm and clear, it means we're not really worried about stuff. We're not dwelling on, because when our mind is always in the future, we become anxious very easily. And the same with the past, we become worried as well that we will bring some negativity into the future. So this worry and this anxiety, these hopes and fears mixed in there, to do with the past, to do with the future, not in the present moment, which is fleeting. So have no worries. So something happens in this present moment you don't like, don't worry about it. It's gone, like that. Sometimes, of course, you have to physically change things, or initially mentally change things, and then maybe physically as well. But right now, try to keep this positive attitude. Not positive as in the opposite of negative now, but positive in the sense of calm in the moment. Okay. We will therefore able to perceive things more clearly. So if there's an issue, if there's a problem that we're having, we'll be able to perceive it more clearly. And therefore, what do I say after that? And able to make better choices on what to do and what not to do in our lives. So if there is an issue, you can look for a solution, and then you can apply the solution, the antidote, if you want, and then if there's good things, you can contemplate, this is a good thing. I rejoice in this. I wish others can have this. I dedicate this goodness to enlightenment, to the enlightenment of all beings. We can be really proactive that way. Okay, so, and maintaining this calm mind, continually realizing this is a good thing. This is a beneficial thing. We will be able to deal much more clearly and efficiently with life's changes and difficulties. I've already covered that. We go through difficulties. This is part of life, and we will continually experience the changes. Everything is impermanent, constantly changing, doesn't stay the same for even one tiny moment, okay? So now it goes on to the Eightfold Path again, doesn't it? My explanation, utilizing the Eightfold Path in the sense of the three higher trainings. The higher training in morality is right speech, right action, right livelihood. The higher training in meditation is right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And the higher training in wisdom is right understanding and right thoughts. And so I mentioned here, to calm our mind first, we must think and speak morally, and therefore be free from regret and guilt. So even if let's say you behave immorally, either through your thoughts or based on the thoughts actually, and then of course act out on it with the speech or with the physical actions, then even if we are so used to doing it, we think we're not feeling guilty, but actually there's this negative remorse, a clinging remorse in there. We may be covering it up to ourselves, so used to lying to ourselves about this, that it's a part of life and all that sort of thing. And the mind is disturbed all the time. So we need to be virtuous with our thoughts, our actions, and our words to calm the mind. So then we can practice meditation. And it won't be a burden to do so. It'll be easy to do so. And then as the mind becomes more meditated, more calm, what I mean by meditated in this sense right now is more bright, more able to perceive things as they really are. We're then able to develop the wisdom and compassion, realize really what is beneficial, and then adopt it, realize what is harmful, and abandon it. With the calm mind, with this nice feeling that we have for ourselves and then towards others. Okay, so I think that's about it, really. We want to find out the nature of our mind, the nature, you could say the nature of the ultimate mind, if you want to put it that way. The enlightened mind is beyond us right now, but we can understand what it's not. and also what it possibly is. We can think from an abstract point of view. We can think, using our contemplation abilities, utilizing investigative skills and analyzing skills to sort of work out kind of what it is. But really, what we have to work with right now is the relative mind, moment to moment. So look at the nature of it. Constantly thinking, constantly changing, having this thought, going to that thought, this emotion to that emotion. Okay, so we can get to know it very well and get to know, as I just mentioned, what to adopt and what to abandon. That'll do for that one. So that's be kind to yourself, calm your mind. The next two relate actually to a song that I wrote many years ago that I've mentioned to you before, called Big Oak Tree, which is using metaphors, but actually it's a song really about patience and, letting go of anxiety, letting go of having the mind being disturbed all the time by the changing circumstances in our lives, the difficulties we go through, and the fact we don't understand everything yet. Don't fight against it just because we don't understand it. Be patient, be strong, be humble, be flexible, like that. Okay, so be like a big, healthy oak tree. Be humble, stable, and flexible. If we maintain a mind of humility, we will not be overcome by excessive pride, and therefore we will not be controlled by selfish arrogance, low self-esteem, or unhealthy competitiveness. And you could add to that, which relates to low self-esteem, is jealousy and envy. Okay, our mind will be free of these negative emotions. If we maintain a stable mind, we will not be disturbed by confusion, distraction, or forgetfulness, and will be able to perceive things more clearly and make better choices in life. If we maintain a flexible mind, we will be able to deal with life's changes and challenges more effectively and more efficiently. You can see how this one directly follows the be kind to yourself, calm your mind quote and teaching along with it. Okay? Just like a big healthy oak tree has deep roots and is strong and flexible, likewise, we should be deeply rooted in virtue and maintain a mind that is humble, stable, and flexible. So humility, in a sense, you can say humility is actually like the antidote for pride and arrogance. When we have pride, I've mentioned this to you many times before, so easily it gives rise to arrogance. Let's say you're in contact with someone else and it's like you're competitive, really, you think that person's above yourself or you think they have more than you or whatever it is, reputation or whatever. Then this can give rise very easily to jealousy and envy. And what I mentioned here is low self-esteem. If you're with somebody there that you think is lower than you, gives rise to arrogance. We tend to put ourselves on a pedestal, puff up our ego. This is very unhealthy state of mind. Even though at that time, to the person who's engaging in that, maybe to them, they think it's actually a really good thing. That they're thinking, I feel good about myself. But actually what they're doing is reinforcing the habit of being ignorant and then engaging in actions based on pride, which is also based on attachment and aversion. Okay. Then also, if you were with somebody else that you think's equal to you, or maybe you're in competition with them to do something or to get something, then this gives rise to unhealthy competitiveness. Always continually being or competing with others, comparing yourself to others. So we need to be more humble. Humility, to some people in the past or even now, maybe they see this as a weakness because it makes the mind gentle, makes the mind clear, and therefore able to make good choices and what to do, what not to do, and so on. Okay. So, but the humility is actually a very strong, open mind state and the antidote for pride, arrogance, and so forth. Okay, so maintain a mind of humility. If we have a stable mind now, it doesn't mean rigid, okay, but stable in the sense of virtuous. Stable as in not reactive all the time, not getting upset about this and not attaching to that. So it's a kind of direct follow on, you could say, from humility. From having a humble mind, we get to have a stable mind. Of course, they work with each other as well and help each other. Stable, we're not going to be blown off the Dharma path. Okay. We're not going to be disturbed by any confusion or distractions, and especially we won't be forgetful when we have this stable mind. We will listen, for instance, to the Dharma teachings with really clear mind, okay, good intentions and so on. Okay, so already mentioned the rest of it. A flexible mind, we'll be able to deal with differences, difficulties and changes in circumstances. Okay, just like the big oak tree is like very flexible. As mentioned before, you can make things. It bends. It's very flexible wood, even when it's not on a tree anymore. Like, for instance, makes guitars, and furniture, and violins, pianos, and things like that. Okay, so very flexible. If it was rigid, then the tree, then if really big winds come along, it would eventually break. But this flexibility allows it to go with these winds and not break. Okay, just like our mind, we need to have our mind deeply rooted in virtue so that we're not blown around all the time by different circumstances. Okay, so I think that'll do for that. The next one's a kind of follow-up with it. Be like a big, healthy oak tree, and no winds will blow you down. Specifically talking about the 8 worldly winds or the 8 worldly concerns that we've gone into in depth in other classes numerous times. If we maintain a mind that is deeply rooted in virtuous goodness and is humble, stable, and flexible, we will not be blown off the Dharma path by the winds of change, unsatisfactoriness, and wrong views. So we're talking about, the sufferings, the impermanence here, and also the wrong view, for instance, in, say, believing in a self rather than non-self, believing in some sort of like yourself being separate from other things. So I'm really talking about the 3 marks of existence there: impermanence, dukkha or unsatisfactoriness, and mentioning it here as wrong views, but really I'm talking about the wrong view of believing in a permanent self. So it goes further than that. It's actually talking about wrong views based on ignorance, the ignorance of believing that we are a separate self. Okay. Also, we will not be blown down by the 8 worldly winds, 8 worldly concerns of gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and shame, and pleasure and pain. We would be more contented and satisfied, just like a big, healthy oak tree. I'd say the big, healthy oak tree is actually very happy just to be there. Doesn't think, hey, I'm a big, healthy oak tree. No, just in nature, just part of nature. Humble, stable, flexible, not blown around, even though it's still blown, but keeping that virtuous mind. Okay, so I'm speaking metaphor in a sense, utilizing the tree. So do your best to keep the mind like that. It leads on to the next one. I think we have time, 3.5 minutes. So one more. This is number 26 out of the 50. Be proactive and not reactive. I alluded to that earlier. Be proactive. By the way, this is first couple of paragraphs of a longer article that relates to the buffer zone. So it relates to the 5 skandhas and not reacting, and creating the bad karma and so on. Be proactive by nipping unwholesomeness in the bud, by just letting it go naturally. When unwholesomeness or unwholesome mental sensations and thoughts arise, recognize them as such and don't cling to them, and they will melt away naturally. Don't be reactive by clinging to them and following them, or fighting against them and turning them into something bigger than they are. for they are merely habitual mental reactions. So don't react to the reactions, and so on and so forth. Be proactive and maintain a wholesome state of mind. So I'll talk about this a little bit, and then I'll actually pick this one up next week as well, right? And then obviously we can continue to go on to the other ones throughout this book, the quotes of varying depths or in-depth and also lengths, as well as the same to do with the explanations. And this will cover, I'm 100% sure now, this will cover all of the questions that were asked, okay? So be proactive by nipping unwholesomeness in the bud. As soon as you see it arise, as soon as you feel it arise, as soon as you're getting angry, for instance, frustrated, as soon as you're getting maybe greedy for something, clinging to something, then at that moment, let it go, just naturally. Just as we do in meditation. If you have some sort of thoughts arise, especially unwholesome ones, then you recognize it, and then you put your mind back onto your breath at that time. So the same when the negative emotions arise, especially negative, then you recognize it as such. Maybe even with a bit of humor, you can say, oh, there's that old habit. Stop your nonsense. Talking to yourself in your mind. Maybe not when you're down the street out loud. But actually, maybe it's good. Maybe then a good influence for others. They can laugh at you too. And then if you don't take offense to that, that can help you to actually give up this unwholesomeness, okay? I'm just joking around a little bit. But utilize every moment that you have to practice the Dharma. Okay, so I think maybe 20 seconds to go. I rejoice in your goodness as always. And I really look forward to seeing you next week. And make sure you study the Dharma well, not too much, not too little, not too